I'm Bill Lockwood. This is Writing for the Bible Brand. Once again, I'm on MC Hammer to relate to you a couple of ideas, and I want to talk for just a few moments about America is really a Christian nation. This is kind of an interesting idea, simply because there's so many people today who are in denial and don't want to believe it, and even people in the universities and the graduate schools, they're almost in the dark on whether or not America was established as a Christian nation. And really there's no excuse for that, because the founding fathers were all emphatically clear that this is a Christian nation. Well, now what do they mean by that? Let's first of all begin there. They did not mean that there would be a theocracy established, that we're going to have something such as Old Testament Israel. That wasn't the case at all, or that there would be a state-sponsored religion, even though when the Constitution was adopted, many states had state-sponsored churches, but there would not be at a national level a national denomination. So that's not what they meant by saying it's a Christian nation. Nor did they mean that everybody was going to be forced to go to church or go to an assembly of some sort somewhere. That wasn't the idea at all. But what did they mean by it? They meant simply that the principles of Christ, the principles of the Bible, would be built in and were built into the system of Christianity itself. And that's really what they meant by a Christian nation. So, for example, John Jay, the first Supreme Court Justice of the United States, said so plainly that this is a Christian nation. Not only so, but a man by the name of Benjamin Morris. Benjamin Morris wrote a book it's about that thick, about 800 pages, and he was a second generation founding father. He's not really a founding father, but he was one generation off of them. And he surveyed all the material and put together in his book, and he said basically the same point, and that is, this is a Christian nation because Christianity, or Christian principles, are basically the foundation of all of our civic institutions in the country. And he went at length to talk about how that was the case. And that's why, for example, visitors to Washington, D.C. will be able to see such things as Moses holding the Ten Commandments at the Supreme Court building, or biblical passages, or at the Jefferson Memorial, which was built many years later. All of those things referencing Christianity and Christian principles. That was the case. Not only so, but Roger Sherman. Roger Sherman was a great founding father. He was from Connecticut. He signed the Declaration of Independence. He signed the Constitution. And he said, this country was built upon Christianity as I understand Christianity to be. Pretty simple, isn't it? I think Patrick Henry was the one who said, you know what? This country is founded upon the gospel of Jesus Christ. Now these men and more others also all stated with one voice that this is a Christian nation. Once again, it didn't mean that so many people were Christians as opposed to who are not Christians. It simply refers to the fact that the principles of Christianity were built into and woven into the fabric of our civil institutions and our foundations of our country. And that's exactly what they meant by the idea. And so they would speak always that this was a Christian nation. Even Thomas Jefferson pointed out that our rights come from, and we know where he said, come from God. The Declaration of Independence reads more like a theological statement today, doesn't it? I want him to pay attention to my lesson. He's paying attention to the other horses right now, but you know what? Even Thomas Jefferson said, you know what? All of our rights come from God. And he put that right in the Declaration of Independence. It's amazing that people will say, well, he was a deist. Well, deists don't write as Thomas Jefferson wrote in the Declaration, the laws of nature and nature's God, and we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, endowed by the Creator with certain inalienable rights, among which are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, which in the Constitution is life, liberty, and property. And the founding generation, just with one solid voice, said, this is a Christian nation. It's founded upon natural law. That is, that the laws that God put in and printed in our hearts. Now that's the idea. Now, however, and I'm going to quote here a denominational manual, they're speaking about baptism, and they said, well, baptism in the first century admitted persons into the church, but now it is different. Well, no one has the right to make it different, do they? And today, so many people think that Christianity has nothing to do with this nation and that the founders created a secular society only. And so I say, well, in their view, now it is different. But it shouldn't be. The point is, they're not familiar with the very institutions of our government and how it was founded at all. And that's a sad situation, really. Sometimes they say, well, this can't be a Christian nation because, by the way, God is not mentioned in the Constitution. Let's think about that for just a moment. However, I will point out, even though God is not mentioned in the Constitution itself, according to our founders, was founded upon the concept of natural law. And that's what all the laws of the Constitution are based upon. That is, Constitution is basically a statement to say to the government, thou shalt not. People have rights, and where do these rights come from? They come from God. Natural law, and that's how our Constitution was established, based upon natural law. Well, natural law is that which God imprinted on the heart of every person. That's exactly how the founders would explain it. So that's number one, I would point that out. Number two, according to the United States Code, the Declaration of Independence is that looks like a dangerous one. According to the United States Code, the Declaration of Independence is formative law of the United States. It's in the code as law. So that is to say, the Declaration of Independence is a law of the United States. This is interesting too. People looking at the Declaration will say, and a lot of people don't want to read some of it. Matter of fact, Woodrow Wilson, when he quoted the Declaration, would leave out, endowed by their Creator, leave out laws of nature and nature's God, because he didn't want God to be a part of it. And that's the way a lot of secularists do today. The point is that even the Declaration has a theological statement, reads more like a theological comment than it does really a political statement. Isn't that interesting? Furthermore, I would like to point out this, that in the Constitution it is stated that it was done in the year of our Lord, September 17th, 1787. So it is stated even in the Constitution that we have a nation that was recognizing God. It's important for us to recognize that to be the case. If we're going to be people who are going to be recognizing what needs to be done in our nation, the primary point is we need a return to God and the God-centered foundations of our country if we indeed are going to survive as a nation. The sad comment by Hosea with which we began really speaks of America today. My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. We need to recognize and celebrate the fact that our founders said we are established upon the foundation of Christianity, the foundation of God. That's an important thing for us, isn't it? So when we ride for the Bible brand, we recognize that the Bible has been that book which has been so influential in the founding of America. As a matter of fact, the founders themselves, by the way, I'll just back up and say it this way, two professors from the University of Houston went through all of the founders' comments and quotes and say, who are they quoting? And they quoted basically three secular writers. They quoted, number one, William Blackstone. They quoted Baron von Montesquieu. They quoted John Locke. But by far, way and above all of that, they quoted 37% of all of the quotes of the founder. No, 34%, I'm sorry. 34% of all of the founders' quotes came from, you know where? The Bible. That's right. The Bible is the rock upon which this republic was founded. That's how Andrew Jackson put it. That's how I put it. That's what I call riding for the Bible brand.